My name is Jen, and I am on a journey in order to break free from the destructive patterns of disordered eating and in order to embrace a nourishing lifestyle. My roadmap can be described using an acronym of the word Nourisher. So I'm doing daily video blog posts in order to encourage you, equip you, and keep you up to date on my progress. If this content is helpful or encouraging to you, please consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and sharing with others. It is my deep desire that these videos would help to ignite nourishing transformations in us all. Hi everybody, and welcome to day 24 of my Nourisher Check In. I'm actually filming this check-in on the morning of my 25th day because yesterday I was very committed to the sleep aspect priority in this healing journey. I fell asleep on the couch last night. It was family movie night. I fell asleep as I often do during movies. I think when I was in high school, I actually invited people to come over to my house for a movie. And then as the movie started, I would literally like turn over and close my eyes. And my friends would be like, "You're not even going to try to watch it?" And I'd say, I had no intention of watching the movie. I just wanted everybody to be together and I wanted to be with you. So I'm notorious for falling asleep during movies. And last night, true to form, fell asleep during the family movie. And then when I woke up, it was like 10:30 and I thought, oh, I should film. And I thought, you know what? If I do, I am going to get a second wind and I'm going to be up late. And as we've talked about so many times before, the value of the hours of sleep before midnight are so much more valuable to our body for nourishment than the ones after midnight. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to sleep. I can wake up and check it in the morning. So here I am checking in the morning and want to tell you about the emotions that I noticed yesterday. So this whole becoming aware of my emotions thing is like ridiculously hard work, super draining, and just way outside of my comfort zone. And especially, as I've mentioned before, the feeling or the expression of anger. This is really, really new for me, in the last couple of years. And just not something that I ever really experienced or remember experiencing, particularly as a child or in my younger adult life. I felt that anger was bad or wrong and didn't even notice myself feeling it, let alone express it in healthy ways. So now, yesterday I had a really triggering event that brought up a lot of anger, and I just have to figure out what do I do with it? How do you process the anger in a healthy way? How do you let it be productive? Because as I've been thinking about it more and more, I really think that so many of our emotions, anger included, it's kind of like, you can liken it to electricity. And electricity in and of itself is not good or bad, but it can be used for very, very good or bad purposes. So with electricity, when that electricity is flowing, it needs to be harnessed, right? And it can either be harnessed into the electrical system that has been wired, and then it can productively flow into powering your refrigerator, your stereo, whatever you need, turning on the lights. It can be used productively for something that power can. Or if you have a live wire and that it's flowing, the electricity is flowing through the wire and then the wire is just spewing out at the other end, that's where you get super dangerous, electrical shock or burns or those kind of things can happen as that live wire kind of wreaks havoc and allows that energy just to spew out. Or you can have where the energy doesn't actually, and I'm not an electrical technician, so I'm sure I'm screwing up this metaphor, but in my understanding, you can have the electricity where it doesn't actually flow productively, properly to its end goal, and it ends up actually blowing a breaker. It kind of internally combusts. And in that case, for me, if I was to look at these three things and how maybe how it's a metaphor for the emotions, my emotions, I can either allow my emotions to be a live wire, in which case they are spewing out and they are hurting other people. And I am speaking off the cuff, or I am being, pouty and demanding, or whatever other, harmful thing I can be doing to other people as a result of my emotions. Or maybe what has been more my track record up until this point is I can allow it to blow my internal breaker, where I stuff it inside, hold it inside, push it inside, rationalize it away, do whatever, and then it actually wreaks havoc in my body. Or I turn to internally destructive patterns such as my binge eating or restricting my food. So that's an option. So for me, it's learning this new productive, how do you get the emotions to actually flow in productive ways into actually helping relationships have strength. So some of you may be familiar with the attachment styles that originally were brought up by John Bowlby and have been many other great researchers and clinicians have developed this theory. But in this idea of secure attachment, please feel free to look it up. If you have a secure attached relational style, you see conflict as something that can actually build the relationship and make it stronger. Well, the first time I read that, I thought that is absolutely asinine. The idea that you could think that conflict was actually going to make a relationship stronger, I thought, conflict is poison for relationships. So I could not conceive of a reality in which conflict could actually strengthen a relationship. So this is very new to me, that the idea of the healthy expression of some of the harder, more negative emotions or harder to deal with emotions could actually help build intimacy, build trust, all that kind of thing. So these are very new, mind-blowing concepts for me that I'm just trying to work out and actualize in real life. And I hope that we can encourage each other as we journey through that together. So for me, in order to help be productive, I just felt like a live wire yesterday. I did manage not to internally self-destruct, so I did not turn to a binging behavior. I did not turn to a restrictive behavior, but I felt like a live wire. And I just, when your brain is locked, it's like it's totally out of relational mode and it's in problem mode, and that person is the problem. And I was just stuck in that mode, and my relational circuits in my brain that keep me relational with people were like totally shut off. So what I recognized that I was a live wire, and so I tried to remove myself from the situation, get some time outside. I actually went into my bedroom first of all and just like screamed into my pillow. Outside in nature, I actually did some journaling to help get some of those thoughts and feelings out in a more less harmful and more productive way, which I'm not a huge journaler, but I definitely find that if I can kind of do a little bit of venting on paper, then I can look at it afterwards and read it, see it more constructively. And then I did something that was a little bit new for me. And I said, kind of like we talked about in one of the previous check-ins, I think, this idea of urge surfing. And when you feel this really strong emotion, asking yourself, what does that emotion need or want? And so I kind of did that question while I was journaling to say, like, what is it that if I'm so angry about this, it's probably triggered some kind of heart characteristic, something that's really near and dear to my heart. So what is it that I would really want? What would be the, maybe even unlikely, but the best outcome of this particular difficult situation? And that was really helpful, because it helped me to see actually what it was that I needed or wanted in that moment, and what would have been a healthier outcome for the situation that I found myself. So still have a lot of debrief to do on that particular situation, but the journaling was helpful. Kind of just getting out just the physicality of the emotion was really helpful. So I still need to do some more plugging in of that emotion relationally into letting it come towards healing or building that relationship back up, as opposed to being something that tears it down. So wish me well in that, because that of course is a scary thing for me now, to take what's inside me and to show others. So opening up to others, maybe that's my stretch goal now, is to take some of that learning from yesterday and to open up to others. And I really want to be careful that I'm not a live wire when opening up to others, especially if I'm dealing with something like anger or something that has come out of a relational conflict, because I always want to remember it's so easy to talk about the problem or the person rather than focus on how I'm feeling. So I really want to, sometimes I just don't share with other people about, some of these more relationally delicate moments, in order not to slander the other person, which is a very good habit. But I do need to still be open about the feelings that I'm experiencing. So understanding the cycle, I know that yesterday it was a huge trigger. My kind of core attachments were felt like they were on shaky ground yesterday, which can bring up a lot of pain and a lot of either capital T or small t trauma. Which I should stop to explain for a minute. Capital T trauma is the type of trauma that happens when bad things happen to a person. And small t, or lowercase t trauma, is when there was an absence of good things, or something that maybe would have been good or nourishing was lacking. So we won't go into that in detail today, but when we do experience some of these difficult situations, it can really bring up past traumas and really get us stuck. So I knew that I was in a very stuck place yesterday, and I could have easily been the trigger that pushed me either to wickedly restrict, or to wickedly restrict for me is often, liquids only, or, well, I just want to eat for the rest of the day, or whatever the case may be, or wickedly binge. So really grateful that by God's grace and with the strength that I've been gaining by doing these nourishing practices together with you, I didn't go either of those ways, and but always want to know that I'm very vulnerable to those things. So rewiring my brain, the journaling, the time out in nature. I did try to do some appreciation yesterday, and that was a little bit tricky for me. I think I was just so heated by what was happening. But in the evening, one of my daughters loves to sing, and that was super helpful in helping to kind of jog my brain into a bit of a different zone or a different track. And I noticed some really genuine smiles, and that was really helpful. Music, doing actually nourishing, joyful things together with my kids is so helpful for me in that regard. So insulin-friendly eating also went fine yesterday. Nothing too crazy. Definitely was really hungry by the time supper came, and noticed I often make a different carbohydrate that is healthy for my family, that doesn't react so well with my body, that I just don't partake in. And last night I was very tempted to partake in the healthy carbohydrate that I had made for them, but I did manage to find something else that was equally as satisfying. So that was good. Sleep, as I mentioned, sleep went much better last night. I had a great sleep and did manage to hydrate throughout the day yesterday. And again, my reward is just that hopefully some of the processing of some of these more negative or hard emotions, the sadness for me, the shame, the anger, the disgust, the embarrassment, some of these more difficult to process emotions. I'm not at a point yet. I think I'm at a point where cognitively I recognize that feeling these things and finding the productive, healthy way to process them is going to actually help my relationships be more meaningful and help them to thrive. But practically, I don't have the capacity or the skills to do that in a very concrete way yet, or in a way that I've had enough experience that I believe it in my heart. So the reward for me is continuing to build deeper intimacy into my core connected relationships by learning how to process some of these really challenging emotions well. So that's my journey today. Thank you so much for checking in. I'm really looking forward to seeing you, well, either later on tonight or tomorrow, whenever I film the next one. And I hope that you have a wonderful, super, super nourishing day.